We'll explore the critical role of AI in advancing sustainable development goals through global cooperation. With the expertise of distinguished ambassadors, the discussion of today's panel will focus on how countries are leveraging AI to tackle pressing challenges. We hope that session will succeed to foster dialogue of the opportunities and challenges of international partnerships while exploring strategies for harnessing AI's potential to create a sustainable future for all. The panel will be moderated by Slobodan Markovic, Digital Advisor of UNDP. And I want to invite you, fellow ambassadors, Her Excellence Anke Konrad, Ambassador of Germany to Serbia. Can you please welcome to the stage? His Excellency Luca Gori, Ambassador of Italy to Serbia. Her Excellency Charlotte Sammelin, Ambassador of Sweden to the Republic of Serbia and Montenegro. His Excellency Pierre Cochard, Ambassador of France of Serbia. And His Excellency José Mauro de Fornesca Costa Canto, I'm sorry, Ambassador of Brazil to Serbia. I'm sorry.
Okay, great. So we have around 40 minutes for this discussion, so it's going to be the dynamic, I suppose. My name is Slobo Markovic, and I work as a digital advisor at the UNDP country office in Serbia. And I'd like to start with questions on basically the national visions behind the national strategies. So what are the visions that you have particularly for your own country, but you can also refer to the wider context, for instance, the region or the European Union, etc. So I'd like to start with Madam Ambassador Konrad.
Okay, so I could start with what we are doing in Germany, and I think from there, I mean, it's all embedded.
Sure.
It's, okay, so Germany, we've created a national AI strategy in 2018. It was then updated in 2020. So we started with, at the beginning, we had research, education, use for public administration, and many others. But then, for instance, in 2020, we've also included climate change and the fight against pandemics into our strategy. So the strategy stretches until 2025. So we've planned to spend up to 5 billion euros on this. And one and we also then have started to also look at the question of data, because AI without data is a hungry beast. So that's why also in 2021 we have developed our first national data strategy. And as a very concrete example, one part of the strategy is that each of our ministries at federal level is creating so-called data labs that are preparing in-house data that can then be used for artificial intelligence. Let's look at my ministry, Foreign Office. So we are currently working on an AI-based solution as a kind of negotiation tool, so that which aims to allow quickly to analyze position papers in international negotiations, and then also, of course, work on proposals. It's still a prototype, so we are still developing it, but we hope that soon we will be able to boost the whole thing. Also, to other examples outside this data lab exercise, I mean, the Federal Criminal Police Office is just today concluding its autumn conference, where the main topic over 2 days was how AI can be used in the police work, especially when it comes to analyzing huge volumes of data and finding solution to criminal cases. Or another thing, just locally here, in our embassy, our visa department is just introducing a tool with AI elements to manage all incoming requests of information on data or no, for visa procedures. So all requests now, for the moment, we have 2 colleagues who are answering these questions, and in the future, as in the upcoming weeks, this will be done by...
They'll be augmented by
AI.
artificial agents. Okay, thank you very much. Ambassador Gori.
Yes. With regard to Italy, we have a national strategy on artificial intelligence for 2022-2024. A strategy which starts from the assumption that the artificial intelligence, it is not an end in itself, but an instrument to amplify human potential. So human being at the center of the artificial intelligence revolution, and the necessity to prioritize the common good in using and applying artificial intelligence. We have invested in terms of government funding about 1 billion euros, which is aimed at financing, in particular, the digitalization of the public administration. We have invested annually 500 million euros in research and development in artificial intelligence. We have 30 research centers dedicated to artificial intelligence. We have 150 startups in artificial intelligence and more than 500 Italian companies that are contributing to artificial intelligence solution in broader terms. The priorities of our strategy are mainly 4. First, to regulate. So Emmanuel Geoffrey was mentioning the Artificial Intelligence Act. We are discussing in Italy also a national legislation. It is now in the parliament, which goes more or less, of course, in the same direction. The second priority is security, which means security in the management of data, so data protection, which means security in terms of reliable data, because as we all know, it is not sufficient to have the data center, but to have reliable data in the data center, and security in terms of cybersecurity. The third priority is to boost investment in research in order to, I would say, to provide the skills that we need. And finally, the final priority is to mitigate the risks that we see with the artificial intelligence, in particular, the risk of widening the digital divide and the risk that artificial intelligence can have impacting the labor market.
Thank you very much. Ambassador Sammelin, please. Yes.
Grab a microphone. Thank you very much for the invitation, and I agree with the introduction here earlier that it's a pleasure to see also so many young women in the audience. I would claim that Sweden, we have been a pioneer in using AI. Of course, everybody will claim that here in this panel. But we have invested quite a lot in research. And there are different initiatives which have helped this. And we have Wallenberg AI. We have another initiative called Autonomous Systems. And we also, a third one of software programs. And a lot of money has gone into this. We this year launched an initiative called AI Sweden. And it's a national center for accelerating AI adoption in the society, and it gathers more than 140 participants from public and the private sector. And it's co-financed by the state and private partners. And the aim with AI Sweden is to invest in tools to generate AI and to accelerate the use in order to strengthen our welfare, competitiveness, and also our way to a sustainable society. Government agencies and municipalities are using AI to develop their governance and also the service to citizens. To give you three examples. We have language models and generative AI, and these are useful for several types of AI applications. One concrete example is a program to translate legal texts. And here we have the administration for courts, and they have saved 90% of the associated costs related to translation of legal documents. A second example has also been mentioned earlier, is to use AI-driven healthcare systems in order to improve patient care. Another one is chatbots to provide services and increase availability, particularly when you're dealing with the public tax agency. In fact, the public tax agency in surveys is the most popular public agency in Sweden. Can you imagine? I mean, the transparency and the availability of their services. And also Cadastral Authority and the Swedish Pension Agency. I would like to point out one challenge that I think many share. It is the large difference between larger and small agencies and municipalities, and where smaller units are struggling a lot to develop their skills and to introduce AI. And that is why the Swedish public sector is continuing to develop the implementation and encourage the collaboration between larger and smaller actors and to share knowledge. I'll stop here.
Thank you. You mentioned AI Sweden. They're really a great example. I've been following some of their members who have developed a Nordic collaboration on language models. And I think I'm mentioning this because this could be also a space for regional collaboration in South Slavic languages among regional countries as well. So that's a great thing that you mentioned. Mr. Cochard. Ambassador, please. France is big on AI.
Yes, but we wake up to AI approximately at the same time as others, meaning 2018. We had a national strategy which is still going on, with the first phase focused on structuring the national research ecosystem, promoting partnership between academia, industry, and government, funding research centers and so on, innovation hubs. And the second phase, which is currently going on, and which face some challenges, maybe we will come back on that, to trying to integrate more AI into the economy itself. But altogether, our strategy focused on three main targets: strengthening AI ecosystem, integrating AI in the economy, and also, of course, promoting ethical AI. In terms of sectors, our focus were mainly healthcare, transport, energy, defense, and public administration. And maybe to take some examples, in the field of public services, others have promoted, of course, digitalization of public services to speed up procedures and so on. For example, our job agency called France Travail uses an AI system to assess eligibility of unemployed people to unemployment benefit. Maybe worrying sometimes, but that's the reality, and it's improving the quality of service. And also in the field of tax fraud, it's used by our authorities to better target abnormalities in that field. Healthcare, of course, is a key sector. We have a 2025 genomic medicine plan, and in which AI is clearly key to identify profiles and personalize care. In the field of energy, I think it's important also, and we have several companies that are focusing on that, including Schneider, for example, here in Novi Sad. The idea is, of course, using data to predict consumptions and productions, to manage grids. And that's already in place in the, let's say, larger region of Paris, Île-de-France. And it really helps modulate power supply. And since it's also part of our strategy, ethics is the key. It was mentioned by several of us and by Emmanuel Geoffrey also. We of course, are mainly focused on the AI Act of the European Union. But our, let's say, ambition with others, and that's part also of the idea behind the summit that will take place in Paris in February, is to have a worldwide regulation system that will ensure, a fair competition, but also respect of key values we deem absolutely essential for the development of AI in terms of protection of data, human rights, and so on.
Yeah, we will talk a bit later about these international priorities. But let's also mention I think one of the biggest French companies, Mistral, is one of the creators of the best large language models and other technologies in Europe, akin to OpenAI.
Yeah.
But in
and
the States.
we are working to bring them at the Belgrade meeting, so it's not yet done, but we hope it will be the case.
Yes, absolutely. Ambassador Costa Couto, Brazil.
Hello. Thank you very much for this invitation. I'm honored to be here among you. Not unlike those who spoke before me, Brazilian AI strategy, of course, ensures fairness, transparency, and accountability in all its policies and all its discussions and regulations that have been going on. We began this exercise in 2019, and 2021 we had already some regulation in place. We have now started the actual PBIA, which is our artificial intelligence plan, which has the object of creating one central data center in Brazil for development of solutions, which are, of course, linked in Brasilia, at the capital city of Brazil, Brasilia, in finding solutions, developing solutions which have to do with preoccupations that the government should have, such as transparency, health issues, transportation issues, education, national security, etc. And because we have a rather large country with 8.5 million square kilometers, we have also 10 regional centers which will receive part of the $5 billion that that the government is allocating for these centers to develop specific solutions for the particularities that these regions have according to its latitude inside the Brazilian territory. So you can imagine, for example, regions which suffer drought in the northeastern part of Brazil, and regions which suffer floods in the southeast and the south of Brazil. They would somehow invest some of their resources in developing solutions to maintain properly their stock of building materials or rebuilding materials in the case of emergencies, and also, of course, monitoring how is the situation of rains in the case of floods, and how is the situation of drought in the case of drought, and how we could allocate resources in advance to the needed areas, to the areas which are being affected by these natural disasters. So the focus of our plan is, of course, in general, social well-being, the generation of capabilities, also in AI, technological and data sovereignty, which is very interesting, very important for us, environmental sustainability and ethics, and responsibility in the use of AI. In line with national and international discussions on the twin transitions, digital and sustainable, the plan foresees the creation of a sustainable AI infrastructure based on renewable energy. By the way, some of you may know this, 8,000 data centers worldwide represent 15% of the increase of energy consumption that we have on a yearly basis. So it's very important how we are generating the energy to power these data centers. So this plan also provides the creation and improvement of national databases for training, fostering, and development of world-class Portuguese language models, seeking to ensure the reduction of biases and data sovereignty for the country. The plan premises include a focus on social well-being, as I said before, the generation of capabilities, etc. Addressing these issues requires policy reforms, technological innovations, and action by the stakeholders, which are basically policymakers, businesses, and consumers. That's basically what I had to say.
Thank you very much, and I really applaud this strategic direction related to preservation, basically, of Brazilian language and culture in the age of AI, because as we all know, what is not in the data, it's not in the models, and you know, that is the effect of the current AI models, which, for instance, I mean, they work great for English, but for the other languages, they dramatically drop in performance. You know, one of my favorite pastimes is to chat with ChatGPT about Serbian history. It's hilarious. It doesn't know a lot of things and imagines things. So this is why it's important to preserve the cultural heritage and to, you know, these lingual nuances in the age of AI. Thank you very much for this. I think that these all national strategy basically outlines similar things, and I see a lot of similar challenges here. Some of these challenges are, of course, at the national level. I don't think that we'll have time to go into details of like all the difficulties, numerous difficulties of applying AI strategies or any emerging technology strategies at the national level. But I like, because you're ambassadors, to ask you about the international priorities. And I mean, because this is like every other emerging technologies, like cybersecurity and the other things before that, like climate change, do require global attention and global coordination. So this is why I wanted to ask you about the main challenges and main priorities you see for international cooperation on AI. What do you expect to see? What do you expect to, you know, what do we expect we come up with to have a better AI future? Ambassador Konrad.
Okay, so just, I mean, because we're thinking also about implementation challenges, I mean, first, if we look at our own strategy, I mean, we've seen it's running quite well. Also, OECD, whom we have invited a couple of months ago to have a look at our ecosystems, they also said that it's good, but there we see there some things still where we have to work on. It's broadening, especially the AI talent pool, but also to have more data for the use of AI, which is a challenge. And then the other thing is our public sector, which unfortunately remains largely undigitized until now. So they are of course, but if it comes to international cooperation, I mean, there we have to say that I mean, it's, of course, it's key. You can't develop anything in AI if you don't cooperate. So we are active in European working groups, but also at the level of the United Nations, United Secretary General's high-level advisory body on AI, the Freedom Online Coalition, and also the Internet Governance Forum. And we will also be present, of course, at the GPA Summit in Belgrade in December. And but we are also doing so on a local level here. So just 3 weeks ago, we had an AI workshop together with the Public Policy Secretariat from Serbia, which brought together German and Serbian experts on science, academia, and business to talk about AI in the public sector, which is an issue, I think, which also, especially for us in Germany, really, really important. And it's difficult to say what is the main issue, or where I would say that this is really something that changed a lot, but still the EU AI Act, I think that came into force in August this year, will have the most immediate effect on our lives in Europe, and through its extraterritorial application will also impact Serbia. And I mean, if you look at, but I think international cooperation, there's also another element that I would like to share. I mean, I was talking about the tool that we are developing in our ministry on AI to just support negotiation. And we are planning through our development cooperation to make this tool available to developing countries, so that as an open source solution, so that also others can benefit and can use this tool for their own negotiation successes, as we hope.
Yeah, I think that this is a really important point to share resources, because I think that now we're faced with a situation where we have a handful of strong economies with really a lot of scientific and economic potentials, basically running ahead of a lot of the rest of the world. So sharing things is, I think, really important, and sharing resources will be, I think, important. So thank you for outlining this. Ambassador Gori.
Yes, three comments. First of all, speaking of international cooperation, as a diplomat, I'm very much interested also in the geopolitics of artificial intelligence, which is, I think, a very important subject. Geopolitics means, in this case, where are the raw materials that we need to develop artificial intelligence? Where are the main data centers in the world? Where are the main companies collecting data in the world? Where the talent is going in order to develop the artificial intelligence?
Energy as well.
Sorry?
Energy to power up the data
Energy
centers.
to power up. And so, for me, it's very much interesting to see how the artificial intelligence, starting from these points, will impact on the balance of power between different states, between different regions of the world. And here, I think Europe, the European Union, I mean, has a role to play, which is not only to regulate artificial intelligence, which is very important, but it is just one part of the job we are supposed to do. The second element, I think, it's the economy. I see there is a debate already if artificial intelligence is really impacting the GDP of the world, because at the moment it seems that it is not really making the difference in terms of economic growth of the countries. I remember we had the same debate with internet many years ago. So, I mean, probably it's just a question of time. We have to wait a little bit, but it's another element on which international cooperation, I think, can help. And finally, let me just mention, since Italy is the president of the G7, we have really invested a lot of efforts in artificial intelligence during our presidency of the G7. And in particular, we have launched this idea with UNDP to establish a hub in Africa, a hub, artificial intelligence hub for sustainable development, which is supposed to focus on climate change, food security, and healthcare. So this is, I think, a very important example on how we can develop international cooperation on artificial intelligence.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you, and thanks for mentioning this. I didn't want to highlight myself, but but I think that it's really important, especially in Africa, where UNDP has a big presence, and where, among other things, there are problems not only with access to AI, but also the things that we previously mentioned with regarding the language technologies, etc. Ambassador Sammelin.
Thank you very much. Let me also just say that the AI Act that we are working on, all of us from the European Union, is extremely important. And it's a very high priority. I would also like to say that our view is that one should be a bit careful with regulations. It's important to regulate and to have rules, but it's also important at the same time that we have a regulatory environment that is conducive to entrepreneurship. Speaking now about international cooperation, I think I must emphasize and highlight the efforts that Sweden and Zambia put in the negotiations on the Global Digital Compact. It's really a unique framework, and it's the first time that EU and member states agree on principles and commitments covering a wide range of issues in the digital space. And those are particularly four elements. It's human rights, gender equality, environmental sustainability, and the global governance of emerging technologies such as AI. And I would like also to thank UNDP for co-organizing this, and I think it's extremely important that we're all engaged in the UN framework. And thanks to this Global Digital Compact, several important steps will be taken to address the digital divide, the governance gaps and challenges associated with digital and emerging technologies. And the compact includes several groundbreaking proposals in the field of AI. It aims to take a coherent global approach in harnessing the revolutionary technology. So I think this is something we should all value and we should work on. Thank you.
Thank you for insisting on gender equality and human rights-based approach in AI. I think that these are really important points. Ambassador Cochard.
Yes, thank you. I think that about what we can or should do at the international level, we have to ask ourselves maybe three very simple questions, simple to ask, not to answer. First, do we need an international governance? I think here in this panel, the answer is pretty clear. I'm not sure, because we are not in a, let's say, international context that is conducing naturally towards multilateralism and coordination. So that will be difficult to impose or to promote the idea of an international governance of the AI. Second question, who will set the rules? Well, that's a really an open question. First, will that be states or private companies? Now, when you look at the landscape of AI, private companies are clearly in a dominant position. They are able to, and we see that including currently in the US, there is a trial concerning the Google and Chrome and so on. So, and there is no clear answer for the time being. So we have to take into account the power of a private company, and that since they are international, it won't be easy to regulate them without an international governance. And if we speak about states, that's also a big question because they are big players, US, China, EU, notably. So, of course, EU Act, it has been mentioned, is the first international regulation on AI. It's good. The big question is, are we able, like we did for digital services, for example, to set, as EU, the rules that will be slowly worldwide accepted? I'm not sure, because we are not in a dominant position, so we have to be careful at the same time to set regulation, but also to continue to invest to be a key player. And last question is, what is the key, what is at stake mainly when we speak about international regulation? I think personally that the key question is, of course, the balance, the big question, the balance between coming to data, how we can protect them, because it's a sensitive, of course, element, a sensitive raw material, if I may say so, but it's key also for the development of AI. So, and we are not starting from the same point. When you think about China, data has not the same protection in China, so we are in systems that are respecting human rights, individual freedoms, So that will be a very difficult challenge to find common grounds on this very question of balance between protection and usage of data, I think.
Thank you. Ambassador Costa-Curto.
Yes, thank you very much. I think some of us missed the times, thinking about what is ahead of us, missed the times when we had a major discussion some decades ago in what pattern of color system should our televisions have. And that was a major problem, a major strategic discussion among continents and countries and so on. But apparently it was simpler than what is about to come. So Brazil also, in terms of cooperation, helps address the challenges and gaps in the current AI governance landscape, characterized by a fragmented patchwork of norms and institutions regarding AI, as highlighted in the final report of the United Nations High-Level Advisory Board on Artificial Intelligence, known as, using the acronym, HLAB AI, correct? Brazil is ready to contribute to an inclusive and sustainable global digital order and take part in the upcoming Global Partnership on Artificial Intelligence Summit organized by the OECD and the Serbian government in early December here in Belgrade. Brazil favors multilateral discussions, preferentially within the United Nations, anchored on scientific evidence regarding the directions and the evolution of emerging technologies such as AI. Data is also critical for major AI systems. In this regard, data governance is the key word here, can hardly be divorced from AI. And the pervasive integration of AI into our lives raises questions about the preservation of copyrights and intellectual property, as well as the need of diversification of data sets to avoid the exacerbation of biases and prejudices and promote multilingualism and multiculturalism online. Basically, we also concur that the launch of the Global Digital Compact in September 24, which was supported by Brazil, confers an opportunity to implement initiatives which are very important in AI. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you again, also for mentioning the prevention of biases. As we all know, these models are repeating like prior patterns, so we don't want them to perpetuate bad things. Okay, so we have reached the end of this round of my questions, and just one remark from my side. There was artificial intelligence is not a new thing. I mean, it's been, it's been the thing in computing for many, many decades. And there was a time where we thought that AI will replace a lot of manual work. So it happened in some sectors, but not in the others. And it was often thought that, the creative work will not be easily replaceable. So now with this new generation of AI, we have come to a situation where, for instance, illustrators, so like creative types, are under threat. But it seems to me that the profession which will probably never be, or the last one to be replaced is like your job. Like this kind of. Dealing with and solving human problems, understanding each other, connecting with each other, is something that machines just cannot do. So that's an interesting remark that I had when thinking about this panel. So I don't know whether you agree or have a reaction there. Okay, so you're safe. Okay, any questions from the audience?
Maybe from Branka, I'm joking.
Branka.
Well, I missed a big part of it, so I will leave it to you, Slobo, to continue and finalize the panel.
Okay.
She was stuck in traffic. She was supposed to moderate.
Yeah, I jumped in. I'm sorry. So, okay, any substantial questions? We have the mic. Aha, chips war. Okay, maybe chips war. But if no one has a question, I have a question. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to, like, whoever wants to answer it can answer it. I mean, if you have used any of the AI in the previous 2 years, or heard something that really had an impression on you out of all this AI hype in the press 2 years, what was that?
Okay, I'm new in Serbia. I arrived on the 2nd of September. I don't know Serbian language. So when I go into the grocery shop and I need to read something on the package and I don't know what it says, I take my phone and I use the translation device through the camera.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, we were not able to have such kind of understanding of the world around us and like visual and textual context before. So that's the new thing that AI brings us.
So maybe like everybody, I think in Christmas 22, I think that was the opening of
after the ChatGPT.
After the ChatGPT. So family meeting, we were all trying to ask questions to ChatGPT. And as a diplomat, I asked ChatGPT to write my speech for the National Day in the embassy. And the result was amazing, very, let's say, without any original point, but it was okay. Of course, I mentioned that I'm ambassador in Serbia. One point was missing. Guess which one? Kosovo. No reference to Kosovo. So I asked, but what about Kosovo? And then I had a very good answer in line with our position as EU facilitator, let's say. So I was rather impressed. But it was really a boring speech. You may say that all speeches by diplomats are boring, so ChatGPT is doing well the job. But really, it was without any interesting point, by the way. So that's the limit. I think our job is still there. I mean.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That was my impression as well.
Yeah, maybe just to add. I mean, we also did similar things. I mean, we asked about my family. So all in the family, and it was. I mean, they really even took out wrong spellings of names, and everything was in. So, but also shows. I think, and also as you were also mentioning, diplomats. I think there's something that AI can't really replicate, and that's the empathy, our personal empathy towards an issue, towards our estimation also of to whom we are speaking, and this AI can only imitate speeches to a broad public, but it will never be able to really personalize it in a way whom I'm speaking to and who I am myself. So that's it. No, but I think, but I would hope that AI would help to do better. I mean, today you have Google, you give in a word, and it gives you in milliseconds around 50,000 places where you can find something about it. And with paid ads in Google also, you can never be sure that the first shown are the most relevant. So I would like an AI that is really capable of giving me maybe 10 choices, yeah, but which will really resume, but not this multiple things with half of it not having anything to do with the question you were asking. So that would be something that I would wish for AI, if they could just develop it better.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. I mean, this technology can be also seen as an echo of our times, the times when we're flooded with information. So we're trying to find ways to deal with it, and AI is one of them.
I'm afraid that we will have even more answers, not only 50, but 500 million choices of answer.
Yeah, for me, first of all, to struggle with my kids, to understand how they are really preparing the homework for schools and to try to encourage them to pursue a more traditional way to learn what they are doing. But then the thing that is striking me the most, it is the sense that there are no limits. Because, of course, we all know that science is doing whatever it can. Science is supposed to invest in its power as long as it can. We are all more or less homo economicus, so efficiency and productivity is the credo for all of us. But it is a little bit scaring to me to see this perception that there are no limits in what they are trying to achieve. Not really in Europe, because in Europe we have the tendency to regulate everything. So finally we regulated also the artificial intelligence. But in the US, China, and other places of the world, I mean, science is really dictating, and technology is really dictating the agenda to all of us. This is a little bit scary.
Can I have that other little gadget that you have there also? That other electronic gadget, yes. I'm going to work with both hands, if I'm able. Hello. So let me just give you my 2 cents here. I continue to hope that much as the name that Microsoft has given to their AI effort, which is co-pilot, I hope that AI will continue to be the co-pilot, and we will be the pilots in this issue of diplomacy. And the other thing I wanted to mention is how astronomically easy it has become to hear, see, and experience efforts that are being made, for example, in various parts of the world to improve the quality of life of people, to catch the attention of the public regarding sustainability and other issues. And I wanted to try, if Michael can give me a hand here. I'm going to, there is a Turkish, I'm an art buff, there is a Turkish artist called Refik Anadol who lives in Los Angeles. And he organized an exhibition which at that famous gallery at Hyde Park in London, which is Serpentine Gallery in London, which had the objective of drawing the attention of the visitors to the need to preserve the planet. So here he did a digital exercise of corals which are being destroyed on the planet today. So this is one, and two, this is our micro photographs of plants. So this is an interesting exercise done by a Turkish individual artist, digital artist in London. And here again, Anadol went to the Museum of Modern Art in New York City, and he processed 180,000 images that the museum has in its archives and transformed them into 380,000 images that the public can visit. These are small pieces or the complete piece of art that he produced out of the archives of MoMA in New York City. So this is the capacity that AI has. By the way, the name of this exhibition was Unsupervised. It was done by AI without his interference. This is the story of a Brazilian plastic art artist who is also a lawyer. He paints some abstract art, which is quite interesting. And he asked AI to do a page in his book of him. He measures 1.80 meters. He's rather thin. And he uses this and that technique to paint. So AI produced this image of him painting, producing his paintings. Finally, he's a lawyer, and he tried to produce a picture in his report to the judges of an indigenous Brazilian woman. And of course, as you see in this image, it was created by AI, but this was the closest he could come to an original Brazilian primitive Indian. As you can see, this lady and her child have nothing to do with Brazilian primitive tribes. They are probably some Mesoamerican or possibly Oriental. So this raises our awareness on the necessity of not being biased, of AI not being biased. And this again was another exercise that the same artist had, now lawyer, where he tried in the document that he presented to the judge regarding domestic violence against a woman, he tried to produce the picture of a normal, standard Brazilian female. And this was the best, after weeks of attempts, this was the best that AI could do from his computer in São Paulo. So as you can see, the images are imperfect. They're full of digital imperfections, which show on the skin of the female, of the lady. So this is basically to draw your attention on the necessity of not being biased and producing, each and every one of us, our own content, our own unbiased artificial intelligence. Thank you very much.
And the enduring value and importance of art. Okay, thank you very much for this interesting discussion, and one round of applause for our corps diplomatique.